Here are four incredible stories of everyday people manifesting their loves despite seemingly impossible circumstances. I hope these stories inspire you on your journey.
Story 1. How I manifested my love back. Hi everyone, want to hear a little success story? Last year, I met my SP, specific person, while tutoring her in medical school. At the time, I was a third-year student helping her prepare for her entrance exam. From the start, we got along insanely well. One of those situations where you just click. The conversation flowed effortlessly. Initially, she'd come to me with questions or during group tutoring sessions, but I started to notice something more. I distinctly remember thinking she's obviously obsessed with me. I didn't contradict that thought, even though she showed no signs of being attracted to me. A few days later, to my shock, she confessed her feelings for me. It was emotional, however, I turned her down because of my position and personal morals. I told her, pass the exam, and then we'll talk about it again. Turns out, the "she's obsessed with me" affirmation was more potent than I expected. She started finding excuses to see me at school, skipping classes to spend hours talking, telling her parents about me, and generally going a bit overboard because she couldn't have me yet. Fast forward to after summer break, I finally decided to ask her out, but to my utter surprise, she turned me down. I was completely baffled. She explained that she'd spent the summer trying to forget me, dating around, and convincing herself it was over. She told me, it's done, over. Nothing could ever happen between us. You should move on. Oh, it's devastating. Despite this, we stayed on good terms because we truly valued our friendship. But things became less intimate, and I could feel her pulling away. She spoke to me less, which drove me crazy because I'd never felt this way about anyone before. Deep down, I knew we were meant to be. Our chemistry was too powerful to ignore. So I turned to the law of assumption, which had worked for me before. My affirmations were simple. She's my girlfriend. She loves me and only me. At first, I was filled with doubt, constantly wavering and checking the 3D reality for results. Then one night, it clicked. This reality is my playground, and there's absolutely nothing I can't achieve. I kept my affirmations and visualizations. I have an active imagination, so I played out scenes in my mind as if they were happening in the present. It felt like I was tuning into a parallel reality right next to mine. However, the game changer was my attitude. I stopped doubting. I just knew it was mine. I felt it deep in my core that this was the only way things were meant to be. Within days, I heard she had turned down a third person and started distancing herself from them. Then last night at a party, I saw her reject the 3P again. I went over to check on her, and she invited me to sit with her. We were really close, laughing and talking like nothing had changed. At one point, she said, "God, I still love talking to you. I'm so glad you're here." I told her I felt the same and asked how her night was going. She hesitated, looked sad, and finally said, "It could have been better." When I asked her what was wrong, she admitted, "I don't want you to get mad." I reassured her, and after a pause, she confessed, I thought I knew what I wanted. I turned you down because I was scared of ruining our friendship. But seeing you at school and at parties made me realize I was never confused. You're the one I've been thinking about for a year and a half. You're the one I want, not 3P, not anyone else. I know I hurt you, and if you want to tell me to leave, I'd understand. But I needed you to know I love you. And I was stunned, drunk and overwhelmed. I sat there thinking, is this real? Did I actually manifest this? I must have been silent too long because she asked, could you please say something? We agreed to talk more after the party when we're both sober. But honestly, I wanted to scream, finally. This journey taught me that discipline and unwavering confidence in your affirmations are key. When you believe that your desires are the only way your life can unfold, the universe bends to make it happen. Look around you. This reality is yours to play with. You're limitless. When you feel that energy and own it, you'll realize that it was always you in control.
Story 2, the power of revision to heal our relationship. Hi, everyone. I wanted to share a recent success story I had with revision. Revision has always been a fuzzy concept to me, something I've never been able to fully wrap my brain around or truly believe in until now. I hope that by sharing my experience, I can help provide clarity to someone who might still be trying to piece the idea together. A couple of weeks ago, my SP, specific person, and I got into an argument. During the argument, he made a comment about a celebrity that made me uncomfortable and didn't sit well with me. Immediately after, I was extremely upset, sobbing, sleeping on the couch, and debating our entire relationship. In the past, when he crossed the line during arguments, I successfully manifested apologies from him, but this time felt different. The comment wasn't something I saw myself moving past easily, so I decided to try revision. I closed my eyes, took a few deep breaths, and entered a relaxed state. I then replayed the argument in my mind, but this time I altered it. Instead of the upset in exchange, I imagined the entire scene unfolding differently. In my imagination, I replaced the hurtful words with a calm and loving conversation. I visualized my husband speaking to me kindly, offering reassurance and expressing understanding. I was only able to loop it a couple of times before I fell asleep. The next morning and in the days that followed, things were still pretty tense between us, but neither of us brought up the argument from the night before. This is where I struggled. I didn't know how to act because internally I was still fuming over what was said. But I also knew that A, I had essentially manifested the unwanted comment in the first place, and B, things were in the process of changing anyway, thanks to the revision I had done. It took me a few days to warm up to him again, slowly. We did end up having another argument a few days later, unrelated to the original one, but he resolved it sweetly, which helped immensely in getting us to a decent and loving place again. After a few days, I didn't feel the need to go back and revise or loop the original situation anymore. Maybe a couple of times when I got triggered, but I got to a point where I was okay with just letting it be. I had faith that the situation had been revised and I would see proof of that soon. I personally think this was the key to making revision successful for me. Of course, I had always known that persistence is key to manifesting anything successfully, but with revision, I was under the impression that it was a one and done process. In reality, it should be done as many times as you need to change your strong emotional attachment to it, and it will change. As crazy as the idea may seem, it will change. Anyway, my SP and I ended up taking a weekend getaway trip and had a really great time. We reconnected and he was showing up sweetly. Near the end of our trip, I was triggered by something in my 3D reality that made me think of our original fight and the comment he made about the celebrity. Since we were in a good place, I casually asked him about the celebrity and hinted at the comment he made. Essentially, I was looking for reassurance, not whether the revision had worked, because at that point I had let it stay in my past and wasn't even thinking about it anymore, but more so reassurance about the situation in general. It was something I'd asked in our normal day-to-day conversation, not as a result of an argument. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, he was so confused about why I would be asking such a thing. The reassurance I was looking for seemed so random and out of left field. I even pushed it a tiny bit and said something like, "But you said, Egil," he responded with, "I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about." And then provided me with reassurance, the same reassurance I had revised the scene to reflect. It was like the comment was never even said. Like, I am shocked, but also not, because I know I am God and can literally get whatever I want. Choosing to revise this incident instead of manifesting an apology for it was a game changer. Surprisingly, it brought me a lot more relief and peace than an apology would have. Now that I've learned how powerful revision really can be, I will continue to play with it and advise you to do the same.
Story 3. How self-concept brought me back to my SP. Hi, everyone. I want to share my manifestation journey and how I got back with my specific person, now my boyfriend. I hope my story inspires many of you. I have been practicing manifestation for many years, starting with the Law of Attraction, LOA, which most of us are familiar with. I read many books, listened to podcasts, practiced affirmations, and manifested several things in my life even before I consciously understood LOA and Neville Goddard's teachings. When I discovered Neville's work, it resonated deeply with me. I purchased his books, listened to countless success stories from coaches and YouTube videos, and immersed myself in his lectures. Everything he teaches made so much sense to me. I also explored quantum jumping and metaphysics, listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza and Florence Scovel Shinn, a remarkable manifester from the 1800s. Their teachings share a common foundation. Your mind creates your reality, and everything is you pushed out. It took me some time to fully understand this concept until I experienced it firsthand with my SP. To summarize our backstory, we broke up suddenly after an argument, which didn't seem significant enough to end the relationship. I was devastated. I cried, meditated, affirmed, scripted, and even tried the 55-day 5-5 method. I did everything I could think of. I returned to this community to read stories, hoping for comfort and insight, thinking maybe there was something else I needed to try. Looking back, I realized much of what I was doing stemmed from fear and desperation, the very emotions that hinder manifestation. I reminded myself that it's okay to feel emotions and to take time to release them. I gave myself the grace to cry and process the pain. Once I had done that, I decided to start fresh with a renewed energy. I told myself that enough was enough. I am the creator of my reality. I choose who stays and who goes. I am the director of my movie, and in my movie, there is a happily ever after, period. After 2 weeks of no contact and dealing with the ups and downs in my thoughts, I decided to let go. I set my intentions, scripting as I usually did, but only when it felt natural. I avoided forcing the process. I wrote in the present tense, as if I already had what I desired. My affirmations included statements like, I'm back with my SP. I'm so grateful that I am in a happy, loving, committed relationship with my SP. We are so happy together. He loves me so much. I am his dream girl. I am the prize. I am everyone's dream girl. It always comes back to me because there is no one better than me. I am the best thing that has ever happened in his life. Many of these affirmations were also focused on self-concept. I worked on improving how I saw myself and then released the outcome, trusting that it was already done. I focused on being happy, spending time with friends, dressing up for work, and enjoying life. On difficult days, I reminded myself that the 3D reality didn't matter because it was just the reflection of an old version of events. I affirmed that we were already happy together. Throughout this time, I never contacted him, no matter how sad or tempted I felt. I consistently put myself on the pedestal whenever negative thoughts tried to creep back in. A week later, he reached out, asking to meet for dinner and talk. I knew exactly what it was. I had manifested this. He apologized, told me he was in love with me, and even said things I had scripted. Now, we are back together, and we couldn't be happier. I hope this story inspires those of you who are familiar with the law of assumption and those who are just starting out. Remember, persistence is key. As Neville says, it is the law. Sending you all so much love. Happy manifesting.
Story 4. Manifesting my SP after a year of no contact. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm sharing my story in the hope that it will inspire you and remind you that circumstances truly don't matter. Today, my SP, specific person, and I are happily married with a daughter, but years ago, we were apart and in no contact for over a year. He was angry with me, and I was blocked on every social media platform you can think of. My family, friends, and even my phone number were blocked. We had a really difficult breakup. When I first discovered the law of attraction, I was desperate and constantly searching for reassurance from YouTubers, coaches, and success stories. I was hoping something would give me the confidence I needed. I remember mindlessly repeating affirmations, feeling anxious all the time, and trying to visualize endlessly. I was micromanaging every thought I had, and if I'm being honest, it made me feel even worse. After a while, I became frustrated with the constant advice from YouTubers and coaches, and I started to believe that manifesting wasn't real. I gave up for a while, cried for about a week, and then decided to take a different approach. Instead of continuing with that cycle, I decided to read and listen to Neville Goddard's work directly. I read all his books and listened to as many of his lectures as I could find on YouTube. Everything Neville said just clicked for me. It made complete sense, and I realized that manifesting isn't about mindlessly affirming all day. It's about visualizing, feeling it real, and persisting in the desired state. He also said that changing your self-concept changes the world around you, and that really resonated with me. I had already experienced this concept in my own life, so it made everything fall into place. I decided to shift my focus to improving my self-concept and started taking better care of myself. No more anxiety about manifesting my SP, and no more repeating affirmations like a robot. One night before bed, I did SATs, very intense, and visualized a scene where we both had rings on our fingers. We were sitting on a park bench, touching each other's rings and smiling at each other. After visualizing that scene, I let it go and allowed the seed to grow. Instead of obsessing over affirmations, I focused on living peacefully and casually, as though my life was already as I desired it to be, with my S. I just lived my life, content and relaxed, and about 2 weeks later, he reached out and asked me out on a date. After months of trying to manifest him, forcing myself to visualize every day, script, and repeat affirmations, I finally found what worked: letting the seed grow without obsessing over him. Manifesting him back became much easier after that. I used to think that persisting in the desired state meant affirming all day, but what Neville really means is to live your life as though you already have what you desire. That's the true persistence. In my experience, SATs and living in the desired state really made things click for me. Now, my SP and I are married and we have a beautiful daughter. A few years ago when we got married, the scene I visualized actually happened in real life. We were sitting in the park, holding hands and smiling at each other with our rings on our fingers. To this day, I remember every detail of that moment, and it always brings a smile to my face. I hope this story gives you hope. Never give up. Manifestation is 100% real, and yes, you can manifest anyone you desire. Remember, if manifesting them feels exhausting or like hard work, it's not going to work. It needs to feel natural. I personally prefer to visualize and do SATs. Persisting in the desired state doesn't mean you have to affirm all day, especially if it feels like a chore or a lie. If that's the case, you're not in the desired state. I only use affirmations for smaller things, like headaches or self-concept, because they feel natural and enjoyable. Recently, some friends came to me for advice. They were frustrated because a YouTuber told them to affirm all day, but they were getting nowhere. After explaining my process to them, they manifested their SPs or desires pretty quickly compared to the months of frustration they had before. I hope this helps and inspires you not to give up. Have a great day.